In the headlines, Ministry of Education looks at integrated approach to early childhood development sector, and the Ministry of Tourism hosts third annual Tourism Consultation. Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm Kimani St. Stay tuned for details of the headline stories and others coming up. Welcome back. The Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development is once again looking at further strengthening the delivery of early childhood education in Dominica. On Monday, the ministry, in collaboration with the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and the OECS Secretariat, held a national sensitization exercise to support an integrated operations framework for the early childhood development sector. Chief Education Officer Melina Fontaine told participants that the 2 days of consultation will focus on issues surrounding early childhood care and development, particularly as it relates to governance and an integrated approach to the provision of services in the sector.
Throughout the Caribbean region, it has been recognized that access and quality to early childhood development services has been relatively uneven. It is agreed and accepted that ECD services, to be successfully implemented and to impact positively on all children, it must be delivered through an integrated approach. We agree that parents are the first service providers. They are the caretakers who have the duty and obligation to provide for their children. However, within an uneven playing field, it cannot be left only to the parents. Governments must play their parts, and the ministries of health, education, and social services have been recognized as the key ministries through which it must be done.
She said, noting that the ministries cannot and must not work in isolation, a joint effort spearheaded by the OECS in collaboration with UNICEF, CARICOM, and the Foundation for the Development of Caribbean Children realized the development of the Generic Integration Operations Framework to strengthen the provision and coordination of early childhood stimulation and education services throughout the region.
During the process, it was recognized that states were at different points of developing the early childhood sector. For example, the integrated framework speaks to a multi-sectoral council. Since the early part of 2000, Dominica worked towards, and by 2005 had already established, a multi-sectoral council on early childhood education with the legal framework for its operation. Today, we know that we are not starting with a blank slate, and therefore, we will be spending some time discussing specific governance and operations-related issues that will help us to plan our continuing work for the development of the ECD sector. Given our recent experiences with disasters, consideration will also be given to emergency management issues before and after natural disasters.
Consultant at the workshop, Dr. Tristan Nichols, says our objective is to look at structures that exist and the benefits of these structures, and also look to build on what already exists to achieve the desired results.
The workshops came about to help sensitize major stakeholders about ways they can actually build upon what's already existing here in Dominica. Dominica has a very rich history of different structures already in place, a council, preschool development committees already organized. And so my role is just to help to come in and say, okay, this is what we have, and take stock of what we have. And then from there, we can begin to roll up our sleeves to see how we can go about bringing all stakeholders together. So that would include education, health, child welfare, and any other institutions, part of the government, as well as part of the community, who can take part in sharing of information to help little children have a richer learning experience.
The first day of the workshop includes participants of the University of the West Indies Open Campus, the Dominica State College, Ministry of Social Services, the Ministry of Health, the Dominica Teachers Union, and past members of the Early Childhood Council. Tuesday's workshop will see practitioners of early childhood education. The Ministry of Tourism and Culture and the Discover Dominica Authority held the third annual consultation on Dominica's tourism at the Goodwill Parish Hall last Friday. The event is an opportunity to bring together stakeholders of the sector as well as source market representatives to review the marketing and promotion strategies for Dominica's tourism product, as well as to assess the state of the industry locally and to plan the way forward. Addressing the consultation, the Honorable Minister for Tourism, Robert Tong, says that the island was well on its way to achieving much success after last year's summit. However, Hurricane Maria heavily impacted the sector, costing $54 million in property damage, $191 million in economic losses, and an estimated $70 million for recovery of the 2017 cruise season, which was lost. The tourism minister says that a task force which was put together late last year has ensured that the sector is back up and running. He encouraged source marketers at the consultation to let the world know that the island is open for business.
I am sure our market representatives visiting us today would have watched the destruction carried via international media with shock, and I guess awe, and assumed to themselves, hey, how is this country going to get back on its feet? These images were had to dispel from the minds of the viewers. It therefore means that our marketing strategy post-Hurricane Maria must be effective in carrying the message that Dominica is open for business. We were battered, but we are still beautiful. Our natural sites and attractions are open and still pristine. Our waterfalls, dive sites, hiking trails are still some of the best in the world and ready to receive visitors. To our market representatives, we therefore expect you to use every avenue available to you to push Dominica's message to the world. To our local stakeholders, tour operators, hoteliers, community tourism groups, and others, all is not lost, and your government stands committed to supporting your efforts to rebuild and promote your business.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, Karen Prevost, outlined the plans for the year ahead.
Through our programming for the next year, we plan to focus on building resilience in the tourism sector through disaster management and preparedness, capacity building, and also sustainable climate smart development initiatives. Urban renewal has sort of shifted in terms of portfolio, although technically I'm still holding that portfolio. We do expect to continue working with the new Ministry of Environment on the enhancement of urban areas. There are a number of plans that we have to include upgrade of spaces in Roseau to create green spaces, but I'll talk about this in a while. Tourism site enhancement is a project that will continue. Community, cultural and heritage tourism, this is going to be a bit of a change.
The ministry will also focus on expanding and supporting the yachting, water sports and beach aspects of the sector. Emphasis will also be placed on training frontline staff and improving the welcome experience of tourists to the island. The consultation also saw presentations from the source market representatives and discussion on market trends, competitive analysis, and new opportunities for the sector. In more news, the Honorable Minister for Education and Human Resource Development, Peter St, has announced that 6 new preschools attached to primary schools are on the cards for Dominica. Honorable St made the announcement while addressing a national sensitization exercise to support an integrated operations framework for early childhood development sector on Monday.
We presently have a firm commitment from the Maria Holder Trust to build 6 state-of-the-art preschool facilities in Dominica, attached to primary schools in Watton-Waven, Bells, Concord, Campbell, Trafalgar, and Roseau Primary. And so, friends, while we have accomplished much in the area of early childhood education, the Ministry of Education and Human Resource Development will continue to engage in dialogue, training, and consultations with key organizations such as UNICEF and the OECS.
Meantime, the Education Minister outlined the government's continued efforts to improve the early childhood development sector in Dominica. This includes the introduction to universal access to early childhood education, financial support to both private and government-owned preschools and child care centers, the establishment of the Early Childhood Council on Education, as well as the Early Childhood Development Unit. He also reported on the status of the sector 10 months after Hurricane Maria.
Today marks exactly 10 months since the passage of Hurricane Maria. And we can confirm that 66 preschools and 11 daycare centers registered with the Early Childhood Unit are operational, allowing approximately 1,534 children to return to school. All early childhood development practitioners were also given psychosocial support and training to be better able to assist our children on their return to school, with assistance from Israel Aid and K1 Britannia Foundation.
The Roving Caregivers Program, which allows for children between 0 to 3 years to receive tailored education services and to generate better child care through parenting sessions, has also recommenced.
The unit is also presently initiating a series of parenting sessions across the island, and this is to commence next week in Newtown and St. Joseph, while sessions are also scheduled for Marigot, Castle Bruce, and the Kalinago territory.
And finally, this news time, designs for a new building to accommodate at least 200 police officers in the city of Roseau is now complete. The Honorable Minister for Justice, Immigration and National Security, Rayburn Blackmore, revealed last week while speaking on Kyrie FM's Hang. Designs for a new training school in Monbruce has also been completed, and plans are afoot to begin construction in the next financial year.
And that design, even before Mario, was 95% completed. When that actually, and I've been advised that it's actually completed now. I've always also seen a copy of the design for the police training school. So, and the estimate is talking about $2.5 million for the proposed new training school building, and to ensure that we have proper accommodation, proper offices for the instructors, proper classrooms, and with the requisite infrastructure for learning, and also to have accommodation for the recruits and also the instructors. I think the design looks very nice, and of course in this year's financial cycle, allocation of $1 million will be made to actually ensure that we immediately proceed with the construction of this very important building.
In a comprehensive report on the state of police stations on the island, the Honorable Minister also spoke of a number of interventions to reconstruct and repair a number of these buildings in all the districts. Meantime, the Justice Minister believes that there is need to increase police capacity to respond to consequences of natural disaster.
There's need to also place emphasis not only on issues of internal security, but civil defense. That is why going forward, we're going to ensure that the SSU is developed in a way whereby emphasis can be placed on internal security and also civil defense. So folks, of course, who can operate a backhoe, an excavator, etc. So at this initial cleanup exercise, you can have the paramilitary organization forces, including the fire, being at the forefront to start that, especially as it relates to government installation, public infrastructure, etc. And so that I think that is critical.
He says the government of the People's Republic of China will support the police in that regard by providing heavy equipment and to improve police response to the needs of citizens, particularly after a natural disaster. The National Security Minister says government will engage a regional consultant to provide the necessary guidance to achieve this goal. And that's it for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS on Facebook.com/GIS News Dominica and follow us on Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I am Kimani St. Thank you for watching.